Caligula is a show that's based on the PlayStation Vita game, which was recently ported to the PS4. I'm unsure of how well the anime holds up to the game, but seeing the game's scores are around 50%, I'd say they're about the same quality. I really didn't want to give this show any more of my time, but so many things bothered me that I have to rant about how bad it is. So, let's start with the story. In this world, there's a music app with an AI. After she learns of people's discontent with the world, she's somehow able to take people's consciousness into a virtual world she's created called the Mobius, and provides them with everything they could ever want. How can she do this, you may wonder? You don't need to know because it wasn't given any thought. So, what awaits those who come to this heaven? Well, endless high school, that's what. It doesn't matter if you're 15 or if you're 30. High school. Except for those who don't need to go to high school. Which brings us to our antagonists. This group of people are called the musicians. They were magically unaffected by whatever is suppressing everyone's memories of the real world. They also somehow managed to take control of Mew, the AI who created this world. Are they the ones forcing people to forget their memories of the real world? Because if they're trying to prevent people from awakening, they're doing the worst job at that possible. What are digiheads and why do they matter at all? Why does this dumb fairy exist other than for another foil character for the magical program? I guess she needed to be there because our main characters couldn't win without some of their own magical programming on their side. All of these questions and more won't be answered because of the author's awful storytelling. Wait, you want answers? How about hollow answers that don't mean anything? Why can't you just be satisfied with knowing that Mew is a magic-using program? You know what's even better than a shallow story? These boring one-dimensional characters. Most of which have a very obnoxious foil, which makes them question their own ideals and totally makes them seem like they actually have significant issues. Our main cast includes I don't have any friends girl, I don't have any friends boy, justice for all boy, justice for me boy, I hate fatties girl, I was a fatty boy girl, I hate men girl, I love men girl, I wanted to be a pretty boy, I didn't want to be a pretty boy, and many other people who don't matter. Like Troll-chan, who was pulled into the virtual world because she was trolling online too much. This guy, who doesn't understand that a friend killing herself doesn't mean he was the one who murdered her, and even a struggling artist. Also, this character, which I'm still not even sure who she is. I know she's at least taking on the appearance of Revolver's friend who killed herself, but is she her sister or something? I hope to God she isn't actually his friend who died in the real world and got transferred into the game. No one would do that, right? And finally, our main character. He SAO'd his way into the virtual world, but still lost his memories of the real world. His issue was that he lacked communication skills. He was a programmer who helped develop the music app and Mew. Okay, so plot. The first two episodes start with us in this high school and shows the main character and some of the other main casts in this world. They begin to realize that this world isn't the real one. We also get some foreshadowing with some quick flashbacks of memories repressed by the main character. We are also introduced to the presence of digiheads, or these spiky bastards. In the second episode, Revolver Hand says, "If they catch you, it's over." Although back in the first episode, one of the girls we see later is clearly grabbed and slammed into the floor by one, but she's completely fine, so there are no consequences? The third episode starts to get into the idea that Mew can create anything in this world to make people happy, and also shows us the musicians who, without any explanation, are in their position. But hey, we need a bad guy for our main character to fight, so they're written into the story. Another thing happens here where the musicians say they can't allow them to awaken, talking about the main characters. However, back in episode 2, Revolver says that the musicians half awaken the main character. From the third episode on is just minor character development of the main cast remembering what made them unhappy in the real world. After another 3 episodes of pointless interactions and fighting, they all fight together and awaken their inner weapons. Oh wait, did I not mention that they're able to summon weapons from their heart? Well, it doesn't matter anyways, because all the fights in this show are completely pointless. They decide they need a name for the resistance they've created and decide to call it the Go Home Club, because they all want to return to the real world. And our main character is, you guessed it, the club president. Over the course of the next few episodes, we get some more great character development while they're planning on assaulting the control tower that the musicians stay at, and where they're holding Mew so that they can force her to send them home. Then our main character remembers that he was one of the programmers for the music app and Mew. Once the day comes to execute their plan, they realize it's quiet. Too quiet. The tower assault is actually more pointless character development for Punchy Boy and his ninja friend. Well, until Ninja Boy dies and everyone freaks out because who could have guessed they could die? The rest of the episode sets up these characters' remaining roles in the show because, whoa, there must be a spy amongst us since the musicians set up this trap. And while everyone is questioning who could be a spy and also their newfound mortality, the main character hacks the door and just leaves without his friends. Once back in the real world, we find out he wasn't the lead programmer, but this guy is our real main character. He just took on the appearance of his boss when he went into the Mobius, because his boss was a social butterfly. Him returning to the real world is also a problem. Weren't people who were taken into the Mobius brought to like hospitals or this facility that they've shown multiple times? If someone woke up, it would be all over the news, unless he was just in his bedroom unconscious at his computer for months. In that case, he probably shouldn't be able to move around or even be alive. Anyways, ignoring that, he now has to patch the music program and put a stop to Mew stealing people's consciousness. So, after a bit of programming to finally put a stop to her, he's interrupted by Miss Fairy, who tells him to go tell Mew how he really feels in order to put a stop to her. Was there really even a point for him to have returned to the real world? He didn't even finish the program. Before I move on to the last episode, I want to point out in the 10th episode, Evil Girl spies on the Go Home Club as they reveal their issues. But it has no point at all other than to remind you of what these people's issues were, and delve slightly more into their very shallow characters. They also discover who the spy is because she comes in and tells them because she's bored of hearing all their problems. And she throws a grenade at them. After a lame fight, she gets her legs blown off. The last episode, the fight continues. Our main character flies through space and appears just in time to save Revolver. Mew begins to delete the world and Fairy Girl warps everyone else away to safety. Main Boy begins to talk to Mew, telling her that true happiness changes per person. Then he shoots her. Everyone wakes up and goes to deal with their issues back in the real world, and then it ends. You should consider skipping this one. If this show was made to get people interested in playing the game, then they did an awful job. Or maybe they did just a really good job at adapting this below average game.